Is lights going to come out from Washington for Zambia this week? So this week we've been following the biannual meeting of the World Bank and the IMF, where financial ministers around the world are gathering in Washington to talk about financial and economic situation of the world. One of the main topics of that meeting is, of course, debt restructuring. And we know that Zambia is in the crust of the debate right now in Africa because on one side we have China who's being posing new condition of debt restructuring. On the other side we have the World Bank and the IMF disagreeing on China's position and China's condition on restructuring debt and Zambia's debt. For those who've been following us, you can find the story in the show notes and different video where we've been talking about the topic on the China Global South. So far, what do we know in what's happening in Washington this week? We know that some progress have been made during the discussion and the talk where we see Chinese negotiator, World Bank, and different officials being involved into this discussion. So what are the few progress that we've seen so far in those meetings? We know that there will be more data sharing because the outgoing World Bank President David Malpass has said that the World Bank will start sharing its debt sustainability analysis to borrowers' countries so all the creditors know the condition, the situation of the assessment that the World Bank and the IMF has been doing on different debt situation of different countries. We also know that there will be faster timelines into the negotiation, so the World Bank will have much more ability to process and to avoid that creditors will be able to block the situation. But in the midst of all of that, Zambia is still not happy about the progress that's made. Zambia finance minister has been saying there's been a lot of talks in Washington, but very, very few progress have been made. Really, Mosokotwane gave an interview to Bloomberg where he's been expressing his frustration out of those discussions. What did he say? He says, as for now, we haven't had any tangible solution or result for Zambia so far. The discussions are still ongoing. The level of interaction has intensified in the past weeks, but as for now, we haven't had any resolution and we are waiting for that very anxiously. So his declaration kind of echoes of what his President Hakainde Hichilema said earlier this week in Zambia when he gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal where he was asking China and the US to find a solution to the dispute because let's face it, today Zambia is a victim of this China and US tension that we are seeing on the world stage now. So what's going to happen, we really don't know that much, but early this week Hakainde Hichilema said pretty much what his financial minister said later on in Washington. He said, Zambia is more or less a guinea pig right now in the situation of that debt restructuring. It kind of found itself in the midst of that war between US and China. The question is how Zambia is going to react. We know so far that Zambia has said time and time it doesn't want to choose between the US and China in the fight. But in that specific situation here, it finds itself caught in a position where it can really do nothing that much. So the question is, what are the real tools that Zambia holds today to be able to negotiate a better debt restructuring? Let's face it, he doesn't really have all the cards on his hand right now. Now the situation depends more on the World Bank, the IMF, China, and of course in the US behind, because we do know how much the US support IMF and World Bank in the stand against China. So in that situation, Zambia's situation is really getting worse and worse by the day. So let's see how the situation is going to play out, and let's hope that really light and solution is going to come out from Washington for Zambia this week. Otherwise, we are going ahead from very difficult situation for Zambia in the weeks and months to come. This was Christian Géraud. I'm the Francophone editor of the China Global South Project. Every week we make this video where we talk about different topics that we've covered in the China Global South Project. If it's your first time on this channel, click that button subscribe, and so you're gonna be updated on every news that we cover in the China Global South. So see you next week for another video of China in the Global South.